Yes, thank you. Actually, it's really fantastic. We're going to open up questions from the floor, but actually, maybe the first question for the people who are performers here. You do a lot of site-specific work. Maybe both of you can walk through what is your strategy. How do you do this kind of work? And you mentioned sketches. Do you actually rehearse or do you do research or is the site important? Maybe Sharon can start.
Hello? Okay. Yeah, the site is important, but I think it's more first I get the image. Yeah. So I try to tune into what is the image that I'm getting for the performance I want to do, and then the site becomes more practical things. I don't really. It's more like how do you, like for example, if you're doing it on the street, then how to make it, how to simplify it maybe. So it's more that, but what's important is the images, how to translate the image.
For me, like for the site specific, it's important that you have to set up your mind that you have to take any responsible what you do on the public. I think that's very most important thing. Like if you seeing that your public at that time macam I buat yang untuk rehab center, you know who is your audience, so different thing. But if you don't know that, I think that you have to find a way, and then I think like it's spontaneous lah. Just like what you say, like understand the issue before you.
Yeah, because sometimes artists they just want to express themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't think about the kind of audience that's going to be there. But that's not just it. That goes for any site, maybe not just outdoors or in like on the street, but also even here, you have to think about the audience.
Because you're creating a dialogue actually. Like live in the site specific in the open space and the public, but you're creating a dialogue that you don't know who will approach you and talk to you. Which is that as an artist you have to that.
Yeah, and also, some architects and urbanists, right, they argue that all these kind of common spaces, before the establishment of the post-colonial period, like before the establishment of all these nation states, all these common spaces were utilized by people in a lot of do-it-themselves sort of attitude. So they don't wait for the state to decide what is the social cultural relevance of the space. So the state doesn't come into place. But now, actually, a lot of our spaces, we kind of wait for someone to say, okay, this is a performance space, this is not a performance space. So I just maybe want to ask you about, like your awareness when you go into these kind of state-sanctioned spaces, and also very public spaces. So performing, I guess, in the lobby of, or like in a Singapore Art Museum event, could be very different from performing next to the lovely burger man who is setting up his stall. So kind of like your thoughts on this kind of the awareness when you're dealing with kind of like sanctioned spaces and kind of non-sanctioned spaces.
Sanctioned space, not just the state, but privately owned space. So places like KLCC Park is not public. It's a public space. Even this you can consider a public space, but it's privately owned. Publica is privately owned. So how is that sanctioned? And then how is that? It's there's security guards around there. There's security guards around state institutions. So what really is common space? So maybe next to the space next to the Ramly Burger stall is more public, more as in everybody is using it. So okay, we go there and use it also. We are not any special. Kita sama macam penjaja juga.
Yeah, but I think important because it can be performance. Itu mungkin sebab we have the person who in charge the event, they maybe announce like that it's a persembahan. So yeah.
Apa pun, the most important for me lah anyway, as an organizer or as an artist, is trust. Without trust, you got to think why you're doing that thing. The
Trust with?
organizer has to trust the artist, but artists also have to trust the organizers. That you're all coming from the same place, or that if you're not coming from the same place, you have to be clear about why people are doing what they're doing, you know. And I think more sort of over the years, I've learned that before the event there needs to be a lot of contact, a lot of we cannot assume that what the organizer wants is what the artist wants, even if you're friends, especially if you are friends. Actually, so
because you mentioned shamanism, ritual, banyak kali kan. So I'm just curious, and also Sharon, your work actually looked quite ritualistic visually, and also the motions and all. So I'm very curious, this discussion about sanctioned space, unsanctioned space, whether it's socially, within the framework that's acceptable. I just want to know your views, because you're doing something that is really anti-establishment in some ways, but in establishment places and non-establishment places, which is great. But while doing something that is very non-establishment in the art world, in both spaces, in art spaces as well as outside, why is it you don't have the freedom of a penjual obat, or why don't you have that frame of mind? That you are a shaman, you are a penjual obat. Why do you feel?
let's call it art.
Yeah, thank you.
Maybe not to judge it. Kenapa you tak percaya?
Maksudnya kenapa nak bagi ni? Or like, why do we call it performance?
Or whether you enter as a frame as an artist, particularly in the visual
Kerana performativity itu ialah satu perkara yang sangat lama, dan memang orang gila boleh buat di tengah jalan, orang yang kena rasuk atau orang yang nak jual ubat, nak jadi snake charmer, semua orang boleh buat. Dia orang menggunakan public space, commercial space, Tapi kenapa, why does this happen in the visual arts world? Is it a reaction against galleries? I mean, for you, why can't you just claim the space and do it?
But I'm trying to okay. Actually, lately I try to specific focus on the performance art lah. But for me, like, that is a very good question that I think that I have to think about it. Fikir balik kan? Because performance is from the happening art. So this is what I learned. Tapi bila kita sampai, bila the real situation, which is that performance art, we are not dancing. Kita tak ada skill. Kita bukan menari, kita bukan berteater. Kita dah macam orang gila. Pergi je, jual ubat, and claim this is performance art. I know that is the way lah. But for me, like, the thing is about how you bring the idea in creative way, maybe. Like, after the performance, you make a video art something, or you do an installation. As an artist ataupun as a art student, I boleh nampak macam when you do performance art, it's like a big installations. But as a public, they will see like something like tak ada apa-apa pun. But the thing is, that's why performance art, we are not entertain people. We bring the issue, like we bring the taboo. Like sometimes you will feel that not comfortable with it, but you have a platform to question, untuk tanyakan apa-apa. Sebab we just announce this is a performance art. This is not like, I'm not doing this because of my personal punya saja-saja nak buat, or I dalam situation yang I normal, dalam kiraan yang waras, dan kenapa bertindak seperti tidak waras contohnya kan, macam orang gila ke apa ke. But the thing is, we put ourselves at that place and we try to bring something issue. I think that is clear, and how the arts can be a medium. Inilah.
I think for me it comes back to images. So it's just different ways of how do you present the images. Like for me, I actually don't mind it if we are seen as entertainers, clowns, crazy people. It's just that these images are happening outside of a gallery, or they're happening outside of a cinema. So can the images still communicate? Because the images are the things that make people cry, that make people, all of a sudden, it's a very emotional reaction. It's not really, I mean, you can call it intellectual if you want. You can analyze it in performance studies and so on. But images, people react to them very directly, I feel. I remember when I saw Intan's performance, performance yang you sebat balon tu, the hair stood up on the back of my neck. Felt like macam rasa like sejuk all over my body, and I have never forgotten that image that Intan created. I can't even remember the whole performance, but I can remember certain images, and I feel my heart rate go up again every time I think of that image. So it is I feel that it is no different for any audience. These images work on us in a similar physical way, but then we may rationalize and intellectualize them and come to them in a very different cultural way. And that's I feel what we are trying to talk about when we say we need to think about our audience, is that one image does not reach a person the same way. Yeah. And then, but when I say this, I'm very often accused of self-censorship, or why are you like limiting yourself? But I feel, no, this is part of the skill of how images, like just knowing how to make art in Malaysia. It's not even, it's pretty basic.
For me, when we're discussing what the space, actually the issue I have is I don't agree with the concept of established and non-established, because I think there is no established, institutionalized, established place for performance art. It doesn't exist. So to me, to bring in the word establishment, it's very problematic. So in a way, all spaces are non-established places, whether they're public or not. I mean, this is how I see performance art. Because performance art is fundamentally anti-art in a typical commodified sense. You're not selling anything. The only thing you sell is your performance, which is gone the minute it's done. If your friend didn't take a photo, it's over. And what we see is not even the performance, we're seeing images of it. So to me, I mean, I question that a little bit now. But I'm also thinking about maybe it's the issue of audience. Who comes to your show paying for it versus not paying for it? In most cases, they're not paying for it. I think they're just there. But I'm always curious, because you mentioned this, both of you, a few times about your dialogue and interaction with the audience, right? So how does your interaction with the audience change the nature of how you see space? Because in some spaces, the audience just walk by, they happen to be there. Some spaces, they are there, they know you're going to have a show. So the intention is not just your intention to perform, but the intention of the audience when they enter the space. So I'm curious if you see space differently in relation to the people who are there.
Okay. About space, like establishment space and non-establishment space, I agree with you, Carmen. For one thing, the institutions in this country are quite weak. So they are not as formal as we think that they are. Yeah, we know this. We know this because when we go into the institution, kita ada kawan, ada jalan sini, ada jalan sana. There are different lines to pull. We know this. So why we still? Basically, what my approach is that there's no safety anywhere. You think this space is safe? Maybe amongst all the spaces, this space is safe, but not because we are protected by anything, except more trust within this room, perhaps. But you don't know anybody in the audience, in a gallery, on the street. Sometimes, mostly in the gallery, you have one member of the audience who has a problem with you. It's lebih pada tu kan. It's not so much on the street where it's like, this is just part of KL. Like weird shit happening all the time. But in a gallery space, it's different. It's not safe, and that is it's an illusion of safety. And organizers also need to realize that. Yeah.